True.
Yeah,
So coming back to what Neeraj was saying, that for you to register a company which serves animals, right? Or which related to animal, how is it different as with respect to the other companies? Was
No,
it the
nothing
same
like that.
thing?
I mean, when you're registering a firm with the with the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, you need to tell them what you're going to do. So at that time, so there's articles of association that you have to write, just a basic outline of the service or the product that you're going to sell. At that time, we were also thinking of tying up with a few hotels, which would board pets, or we could travel with them to the hotels. So I mean, that's about it. So you can just brief about your services and your products, and
Can be a 1 or 2 pager. That's it.
Yeah, that's
Doesn't
all.
even have
Just
to
a
be
1 pager, and it doesn't mean that you have to stick to that. You can also edit it. You can also get it modified. In fact, what we started out doing was quite different from what we do now. So yeah, that's about it. You just have to do that while registering. You just have to outline the scope of what you're going to do. That's all.
So from the desire of serving this, it came out, and till the time you opened the company and fully functional, right? How long did it take time usually?
About 1 year.
Yeah, about a year.
About a year.
About a year.
Yeah, the registering process itself takes about 30 to 60 days, depending on how fast you go and how fast is the agency you have hired to register the firm and stuff like that.
So what was that? Sorry, yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, let me just add to it, right? So when what happened was, when we were getting more requests, we were in a place which is in the hills, so it was difficult for us to travel from there, and we had only been there for 4 months. Life is beautiful, everything was nice, but we realized that that's not the kind of place where you can start a company, because sometimes the internet is not there, sometimes the electricity is not there, sometimes the water. So so many problems.
Small town problems.
Yeah, the regular small town problems. And then we figured out the most important problem is you need to have that kind of circle around you who's talking about startups, right? And who are running companies, and you see those kind of people around you. That is very important at the beginning stage, that you see people around you who are doing kind of similar things. So then he suggested that, just because we had this question, how to register a company, with all due respect to the IIMs and everything, nobody really knows it until they do it, So
it's a bookish procedure. You can Google it and then find out how to do it, and then you'll have to do it. But the most important point is that she mentioned was that you need to have an ecosystem of similar like-minded people. Until then, you are not going to start up. Okay, so you need to have discussions with people who have either started out on their own, or who are trying to do something different, or who have failed at doing something as well. So then we thought of moving to a city, because a city offers that kind of an ecosystem, and that's when we moved to Hyderabad. And there we kind of got enrolling with that we should register as a firm and then start out formally this whole service of pet relocation.
So in that time, I also I'm telling you these really step-by-step thing how we went, which is now the technical part of it, which will really help someone. So one is, we knew that we could do this and get paid for it, right? So this is where we knew that we can make money from it now, and we love doing it. So there are 2 things had ticked, right? Apart from that, now we knew we had to formalize it. So we went to a city to get the ecosystem, right? So when we went over there, Neeraj found out these startup kinds of meets which were happening, where I did go and attend those meets, and I did think, oh my God. So when some of the ideas which had succeeded were so silly, they were outrightly silly ideas, right? And they were succeeding, and then they were getting awards or something like that.
So success, in the sense she meant that they were getting money and getting accolades. That doesn't mean success to me, but then in the normal sense, they were succeeding in some way or the other.
And like how we are doing, they were giving lectures, and all of us were sitting and listening to them. Oh my God, how did you do that kind of a thing, So then I came back and I said, but whatever they are doing, to me, I don't see how they are making the money. Like, everything is futuristic, everything is based on a projection. So how are they making the money? And so the first thought when we had started the company was that we need to get an investor money. So I was heavily stuck on that we need to get an investor, and that is what raises your stakes, and the higher your valuation is, higher your success. That's my idea. Okay, that was my idea.
Okay, that is what my next question was about to come. How did you manage investments, and what was the investment that you actually started with? Let's say, I understand, this is a unique business actually, but
now.
Yeah,
so we don't have any investors.
Okay. Oh wow. Okay.
We don't have any investors as of now. Okay, we both had pooled in some money, which was very less. Actually,
no, let
just
me tell
a startup capital.
So, when I got this idea that we need to have an investor, and then he said an investor needs a business plan, and a bank needs this, and a bank needs that, and everything, and you must register it as this and that. So I did go on that wild goose chase for some time. And then I realized that because I'm doing that, I'm not able to actually service my clients, because I'm always looking for what? I want to click a photo of me with the pet traveling. I want to do this because I have to put it in a PPT. I want to get the client to say this and all those things, which were kind of irritating the clients. And also it was not letting me focus on my job, which he pointed out to me rightly and told me that, we don't know who's the investor or if it's going to come or not, but your client is here right now. Your service is here right now. Those are the people you must worry about in the beginning. So that is how we started. Then for registering, let me be upfront. We registered it as a private limited because he had the experience and he knew that, a private limited is better. But if it's a single person owned, there are other firms which are cheaper and better. You can of course explore that.
You can do a proprietorship. You can do a
LLP or something like that. It costs much lesser, much easier. And our thing, very simply, the advice would be just go to probably India Filings, or there are lots of companies.
I did through indiafilings.com. They tell you what documents to prepare, and you can get those prepared, send it to them. They register the firm with the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, and they do sort out the paperwork. So it's much more simpler. They've got a nice structure to it. So you can do like that.
I would recommend that go to any of these firms and simply get it registered from them. Don't go to a local lawyer or a local advocate or something for the very first time. I would say these online companies are inexpensive and they're very process-oriented, simplified, very, very easy to work with.
Fantastic. You know what? The journey has so many things, ups and downs, but what I understood that to materialize that idea, it takes approximately, let's say, 1 year minimum at least, I would say.
Right? Yeah. So the most important thing is that you should know that I will be having clients. Okay, that I will.
You need to work on building
customer base. Yeah, there will be a customer base who is ready to buy my product or buy my service. That is the first step before doing anything. Making any PPT, going to an investor, registering. That is what we, did in that 1 year, servicing those clients, probably, doing some more things around the service, which will help, get them serviced better. So making it more proper, making it more streamlined. And once we got an idea that, okay, I can probably live off of this idea, and there are enough customers out there who would like to hire my service, that's when you go and register a firm.
Okay.
Before that, it's just a futile exercise. You would not go anywhere. So the client's customer is the king, unless you have sorted in your head and also gotten some validation of your idea. Until then, it's just not fair to go to any investor. He will ask you, "Acha customer kidhar hai?" Pehla question to yahi hoga na. First he will ask you that. So that's the takeaway I feel from this.
So for most of the time, then what I understood that Devyani was taking care of stuff. When did you decide to leave the job and get in full time, and why?
Yeah, so firstly, after my investment banking stint of 4 years or something like that, that's when I think Devyani had already started out the journey in 2016, and at that time I was still working and also helping her out, getting some stuff as well. And so I had already started working with her while I was at my job. And once we thought that, okay, joining hands formally would be okay and we would be earning enough to support the whole household, that's when I quit that and then got in full time into this.
All right. So for people who see, you guys are one of the best examples for a lot of IT folks and a lot of people who are working in corporates who wants to do something, but to get out, but for businesses, either they have to invest a lot of money or invest full time in, right? But you guys actually managed that so well that at least one of them was able to take care of the things and other was taking a backup. So is that what you suggest those people to do, or anything that you can add on that perspective?
I think so, yeah. If you are married and let us say if you have a child or a family, you should definitely look at a plan B option. So it would be better that one partner takes care of the regular income, and then the other partner can sort of explore all these things. And then if it materializes, then both of them can get full time into it. Otherwise, just jumping the gun without thinking about what it is going to be, and without any revenue coming out of the second stream, it surely is not a good idea, at least to us. Some people can do it if they've got big pockets, or if they've got parents who can support them, or who are planning to take money from their parents. But we were not of that sort. So we thought whatever we have to do it ourselves. And so like I said, there was always a plan B in place. Okay, if we are not able to do this, we still have something to go after. So you have to take a calculated bet, that's what it's important.
Okay. So if I ask, since forget the idea. The idea is pretty well planned. In fact, it is serving. You already had a customer base whom to serve, right? But in businesses like these, according to you, what are the top 5 expenses I should be ready with? If it happens, and which I should be prepared with mentally before getting into a business full time, before leaving job.
See, I would like to add a different perspective. Maybe I can't answer the question right away.
Sure.
But here it is, right? When you want to start something, when to leave the job, if that's the question you have, because frankly, just like you said, we meet a lot of people who tell us they have an idea, they want to quit and start, but they're not able to do it, right? So I'm saying a very simple thing is, like he says, does it have customers ready, or is it going to make the money? And then I say you put down on a paper what's your as of now regular expenses, right? So if you spend 50,000, or for simplicity, let's say you spend 1 lakh a month. So any idea will at least take you 1 year, like we discussed. And in fact, our calculations are it takes a minimum of 3 years for it to kind of turn around,
stable state,
and at a very good stage, right? So the first year, if you need that 1 lakh, you need that 12 lakhs in your bank without changing your lifestyle. And believe me, you should not change your lifestyle, because it will make you frustrated in that period. If you are used to eating out twice a week, and now you're trying to cut the corners and you're trying to eat something you don't like, at the end of 1 month, you're going to be frustrated and you're going to blame the idea and stuff, right? So keep your lifestyle as it is. And to maintain that lifestyle, if you need a certain amount, right? Keep it aside for those 10 months or 1 year, whatever you calculate, you will get your first customer from. And then once you have that, forget everything else, and then you start working on the idea. Because now you know for 1 year. And then at all points of time, think of it. I thought of it that if I'm so good at talking, I will always get a job either in the BPO or in any of the IT sectors, or I will manage with something in the advertising, right? Or now let me also add, think of all your friends you have, all the other relatives you know, who will pull strings and get you a job. It's a fact of life that if you need a job, you can
Who will you go to?
Yeah, like who can you go to? Like, call up your ex-bosses, call up your ex-colleagues, call up your relatives, your family, or whatever, and ask them to put your word, a word about you, right? So make that plan. That if, let us say, I've kept that money for 12 months, and I'm seeing that by 8th month I'm not making money, then 10th month you need to make your CV and you need to start applying and pulling all these strings, and there's nothing wrong with it. But keep it in your mind that who all are there beforehand, write it down. Right? Write it down and make it sure this is the money I need. These are the people that I can go to. And I assume it will take me 4 months to land up a decent enough job. So keep that in your papers. Now the other expenses are, for example, we always have this debate between the two of us, right? I'm a services person and he's a product person. So what happens is, in case you don't have enough of money, right? In case you don't have enough of money with you saved for the idea, but you want to get out, always start with servicing, because in servicing, you're not spending on a product, right? Hello? Are you able to hear us?
Yes. Now okay. I'm able to hear. Please carry on. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm saying, for example, you have an idea. Like we had an idea that we will start off with pet hotel bookings, right? Hotel bookings. Now we realized that the hotels needed money upfront, because by the time Oyo and all had already come into the market and they were paying them upfront. And we did make a little bit of a software. We did our wrong mistakes in hiring somebody to make the software and then realizing we can't compete with the Yatras and the Oyos of the world, right? Because if they bring in a filter of pet friendly, we are over. So we realized it very fast that we are wasting our money over there, and we just said, leave it. What's gone is gone. Let's move on to something else. So I'm trying to say is, think of a services way of addressing that problem. So then we said, see, they can also come up with a filter, and we can also do the same thing, but why would people come to us compared to them? Either you give them freebies, wherein if you have the money, you give them a discount for booking through you or whatever, or for buying your product, or you add on by a service. So when you don't have money, you add on with a service. So like we said, we'll help you transport the dog. And we've been in the hotel and we've made a video. So when you're booking through us, you will get certain kinds of additional, the veterinary information, the dog walkers information, the this, the that. That is hard work. Of course, it's a lot of hard work. But then I'm not burning my money. I'm not telling them I'm going to give you a 400 off. I'm telling you the same price, but you're going to get an additional bit of services. So it depends all on the money. So the top expenses, registration is not an expense. The paperwork is not an expense. Hardly 20,000, I think, is what you will have to spend.
For registering a private limited.
A private limited is 20,000. Apart from that, of course, when you start off, I don't think you're going to have so many employees. Try and do every work yourself. For example, I have walked every dog that I have transported. I have picked up its poop. I have brushed it. I have fed it. I have, if they have a dressed it, picked up its crate, which weighs about 20 kilos, no coolies, nothing. Because I need to learn how to hold it. How much does it weigh? How to walk the dog in the station? How to get inside? How to go where? So all of that work, I did not outsource to anyone. It was me doing it.
I would say the only expense at the start is your own energy.
That's it.
So you need to have a lot of energy so that you can expense it.
If it is a service industry.
If it is a service industry.
But still, if you want to know the expenses, is of course, then we figured out in the process. Again, remember this thing. So we wanted to be the hotel booking guys, but a lot of people came back and told us, hotels, we are not worried, it's the transport. Then we said, let's sort out the transport. We said, let's do the air transport, whatever. Then somebody told us that, air transport also, we know how to do it, but we need those crates, which are expensive, and we only need it for one time. Then we thought, if I was to buy a crate worth that much for only one time, and that crate is long lasting, what is the point of spending so much? So there is an opportunity there. And we said, we'll rent it out. And what we actually did was, between his and my friends, we picked up all the major cities, we called them and we told them, we will get a crate, which will be kept at your place. It is of this and this dimensions. Is it okay for you? Of course, Bombay is a problem because nobody has a space even for 1 foot by 1 foot. Right. But the other cities, we actually called our friends. We told them that this is the case, and they said, "Okay, fine. We'll just keep it above the cupboard or wherever." So
warehouse expense we kind of
cut.
Cut.
And then what we did was, let me tell you, now had we done it in the way that a regular business person would do, they would say where to store these crates, right? So we'll rent out a place and we'll keep the crates over there. But when you're really small, I would say just start off with your contacts. Try out the model. And then we invested 34,000, which was our second investment. After the first 20,000, the 34,000 we invested. And what we would do is to transport these crates. Now you're looking at, oh, I should have my own car with my brand name and stuff, but it's so small, you don't want to spend. So we took advantage of Uber and Ola. What we would do, we would book a car from where to where. And initially we were working on a very trusted basis, right? The client knew us, we knew them over the phone, over the Facebook and all of that. So we would tell them, we'll give it to you. What costs you 20,000? We're going to charge only 4,000. But after getting down, you need to call up this cab guy and put the kit inside the cab. So it was more of, we were reducing the cost and we were asking them to cooperate and do a bit of a work. Like maybe you'll have to wait in the parking for 2 minutes more before leaving and stuff. And they took up the offer. So I'm saying you reduce the expenses of having your own transportation. You reduce the expenses of having your own warehousing, and you reduce the thing of having your own staff everywhere. Of course, we have all of that now, but I'm saying in the beginning, your biggest expense would be a transport, whatever it is, whether it's a service, whether it's a product.
I mean, we are in relocation, so traveling is the main expense, right? So transportation is the main expense. Sort of warehousing is kind of an expense right now. So
and those crates which we bought. So initially we bought only few worth 35,000.
And that was an expense. So that was like an investment. I wouldn't say it as an expense.
I don't think so. It was a much investment also as compared to many traditional businesses where you actually have a product manufacturing and things like that. I don't think so. It's pretty something that you can do.
So the main expense, like I said, is your own energy, your own your mind, how fast it's going to catch up with the customers and stuff like that. And the key takeaway here is that you try and reduce or cut your expenses to the lowest possible minimum.
With as much effort as you can replace it with.
And don't hesitate to call up your friends to chip in, or to keep stuff at their home, or to just take some help of some sort. So that really helps, because you're not earning enough, but then you've made goodwill with your friends. To be able to do this thing for some day. So start out like that. The fashion should be that try and take help from your friends, try and take help from your relatives, family, whatever it is. Not in terms of borrowing the money, but in terms of let us say if I want to go from place A to place B and I know that a friend is already going, I hitch a ride with him or something like that. Okay, so that helps cut your expenses.
And also even if this was a product, for example, now we're kind of moving into a product, right? And even now at this stage, when we are moving into a product, number one is we've started from a service. So the people know who we are, they know what kind of work we do. So it's easier for us to sell or whatever. And now we can invest in the product, but at the same time, we are not investing a lot, right? We are still calculating what is the number of clients that I will get it ready? Like let us say, and it's as small as 100, it's as small as 200, that I will be able to connect 200. And where will I get them from? From my friends, from my friends' friends, from my apartment, my relatives, whatever it is, right? So I'm going to consider it 200 to test it out. And then I'm saying when I'm storing, let me store it at my place. So I have zero probably income out of the whole thing, but I'm going to reduce my expenses in storage, in the courier. So I'm going to try the regular Indian Post courier or a regular DHL or whatever about delivery, right? And so I'm thinking, how will I club when I'm importing something from out of the country? And I'm going to try and figure out who else imports stuff, and can you please do it for me at a higher rate, but do it for me types, So you reduce all the expenses in a manner where you kind of wherever you can reduce.
We don't have an office, and none of our staff works out of an office.
Yes.
Okay, they all work out of homes because they are all single people, single persons in their own cities. Okay. So that's a main expense that we don't have, and we kind of kept it that way It is more easier for us to work that way.
And there's so much technology, right? So people ask, how do you trust? How do you trust your staff to do it? So number one is we always see when was the file updated, whether it's done or not, right? And then you've sent them somewhere. Believe me, it's like a child. Like we've not slept for some 20 hours a lot of times when we started. Because when a dog has started and I have called the cab guy from here, have you started? Wake up. If he needs to go at 6, I would wake him up at 5 and tell him it's time for you to leave. And then I would again call him at 5:30 and ask him to send me his location on Google. And then I would ask him, have you reached there? Have you reached now? And I would call the client and remind them, have you reached there? So I'm trying to say, because we wanted to reduce that kind of an expense, we decided with this technology thing, it's very easy. Where are you on the Google? You can always find it. I would say click a photo and send, and you know where it is clicked at, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So, you know what?
So that's how you
correct. Even before the lockdown, we were working from home.
Yeah.
Nice. So, you know what? Most of the startups, most of the businesses shows their expenses as the tax benefit. Like, you know, they can save tax on the expenses. So expenses are the ones which they put it across, and that becomes tax free for them, right? So, you know, most of the companies who have a lot of investment that they try to save tax in these cases. Now, in your case, in service companies, right? In service company, correct me if I'm wrong, right? In service companies, what you said is the expenses actually are on you itself, right? And you have to think in that perspective that, dude, I have to actually work on less expenses, take care of my team right now, and don't worry about the government for now, because there's no point going there, because I'll be actually saving a lot in that perspective anyway. Is that correct view? Is that correct picture?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think you need to cut expenses, keep your taxes at a minimum. So, I mean, of course, since we are a private limited company, we file GST, we pay the GST on our services, we file income tax, our own income tax, company's income tax, all those things. I would say try and do it yourself. All these things are online, so you don't have to worry about, going to an advisor or a filer or something like that. Right. So keep it to yourself.
For one
but
whole
keep it
year,
at a minimum.
For one whole year, I did not take a single rupee of salary, right?
Initially, we didn't take.
And the key thing here is, if it was a tough job, if it was to be done by road or done by train, we would do that. But if it is by a flight, we would send our staff to do it. Because then they have those perks of flying. They have the perks like of going to new places and stuff, right? So they would do it. So we were paying salaries and we were doing the tougher job. So for example, if me and my staff were on a train station and the dog pooped, it was me who picked up the poop. I did not ask my staff to do it, because then he knows that the person who he's working with, right, knows the job, has done it. He's not going to give me excuses. Or he's not going to look at me like, oh, she's the owner of the company and, she gets all this and that, right? No, we made it a point that we did the lowest jobs to begin with, right? Everything. And then we also had this thought process of taxes, what you asked me. When you are new, how much are you making to save how much of tax, right? You might as well. And it's so much of a headache. You can't be everything. Like, for example, he's a finance guy, but I'm the operational person. So I can't think of everything. I can't think of finance. I can't think of dogs, and I can't think of everything. So I just said, you know what? Let's just be so straight cut upfront, and let's just be so clear. Okay, this is also a learning process. Just pay up the tax on everything. And then we also learned it year on year, right? That what we are actually spending on these tickets, we could have saved tax. And then the next year we started doing that, right? And the internet, for example, we use it only for work. The rest of the internet is on the phones, personal. Then we realized, we can build this under the company. Or our laptops. For example, we use it for work, but we didn't know that we could claim a depreciation or we could get a GST benefit. So we just learned it over time. But the first year, we did not bother much about all the money at all. It is all about getting clients.
Oh, nice.